And a quick note from our sponsor, Jobber. They're hosting a free online event on March 1st of next year called Jobber Summit. And I attended their event last year, and it was a fantastic event. The way they put it together, the guest speakers that they had was all great. And if you've heard me for any length of time, I always say, look at other industries and see what they're doing and apply that to your detailing business. So for Jobber Summit, you'll just hear from a bunch of different experts in different industries and just take that information and apply it to your detailing business. So you can click the link down below to sign up. Again, it's 100% free. It's on March 1st, and they're going to have 2 sessions, one in the morning and one in the evening. So click the link down below and sign up. Now let's get started with this podcast episode. And welcome back to another podcast episode. Glad to have you here. Today, we're going to talk about how I worked 50 plus hours a week while still working on my business on the side. I know this is a very hot topic for, I want to say, a majority of people that want to start their business, detailers or not, just because oftentimes we start this business or want to start a business while we're at a full-time job, part-time job, full-time college student. And, you know, the tricky part is like, well, how do I work on my business? How do I grow my business? How do I service customers if, 30, 40, 50 hours of my week go to this one thing, whether it's college, whether it's school, whether it's doing this other occupational thing. And it's very tricky. And that's what makes it even more difficult. Is like, well, how do you do it when just you don't have the time or the flexibility to work on your business? So hopefully I'll give you some insights and kind of give it a more, like strategy type of look into how you would do it, just because, every individual is going to be different. You can't expect someone that's 22 years old that lives at home with no mortgage, no car payment, to have the same plan as a 37-year-old with a family and a mortgage. Those are just two completely different things. So although those two might be in the same problem of like, I don't have enough time, but there's clearly a huge difference between what those two carry that's going to allow them to or not allow them to work on their business. And then my voice sounds a little funny just because like I've been congested and sick of the last few days. So it sounds probably a little funny, but I'm getting a lot better. Probably like by Wednesday, I'll be like 100% back to normal. There's also a lot of ants around the shop, actually. From the front gate to the back door, there's like this big old line of ants. So hopefully I get that thing. I sprayed some APC just because I was like, I had to come do this podcast. But yeah, hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully they just leave. But if not, then I'll have to figure something out. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with this episode here. So the first thing I would say is, if for one, like just the most fundamental thing of like, if you are gonna start your business, it is gonna be tough. It's gonna be rough. There's probably gonna be some weeks, days, months, years that you're really just like in the trenches, right? You're working your full-time job. You're a full-time student. Whatever your life is right now. But on top of that, you try to add, hey, I want to go and start this business and make money with it. And there's going to be some tough times. I think we can agree. We all go through that. Now, one thing I would say, though, is like, it is very important to understand what your why is, right? Because when the days get tough, when the months get tough, when things aren't going your way, when things aren't being favorable, when it's just another problem after another problem, what's your North Star on what keeps on pushing you forward, right? So what is your why? Why are you doing this? Is basically, your main purpose, your main mission, your North Star of like why you started this all. Each person will be different, but as a general statement, like it's usually like, oh, so I can provide a better lifestyle for me and my family, so I can have more control of my schedule and be with my kids more, so I can, truly see what my full potential is in life, things of that nature, right? It's very deeply rooted things to yourself. This is why I want to do it, and that's very important because, like I said, like on those days where you're like things just aren't clicking, things aren't going, like you're not making money, you keep on sacrificing, this, that, in order to try to work on your business, and like it's not moving forward. You have to be able to look at something that is valuable to you and be like, oh yeah, but that's why I'm doing it. Like no matter what's happening or why I'm doing anything or what's happening, I know that this is the main reason why I'm doing it. So I'm going to keep on going no matter of what's happening right now, because I know the end goal is to get to that point. And if I stop now, that end point doesn't happen. So first and foremost, I would say that's probably very important to be able to like have that fortitude mentally to say like I'm going to keep on going even if things aren't going my way. On top of that, everyone will have a different kind of format on how they. I'm using my phone as a notes. Everyone has their own format in terms of how they're able to work on their business. Because like I said, like someone that's 22 years old, no mortgage, no car payment, no kid, no family. Although let's say they're still a full-time college student and they're they're studying or doing student stuff for like 40, 50 hours a week. They're still held up with time constraints, but that's much different than someone that's, 37 with kids and family and mortgage and car payments and, this like salary job that they've been at for 7 years. Those are different things in terms of like the flexibility and how you're going to manage it. So understand when it's coming to your specific situation, you have a unique situation, right? Only you can figure out what you have to do in order to free up time or to like make time to work on your business. No one else can, right? But as unique as your situation is, there are people with even more unique situations, right? Or more strenuous situations that we're able to make it work out, right? So in one hand, I want to say like, hey, look, like don't look at anyone else because you have to figure out what's going to work for you. But on that same note, though, just understand that other people with far greater situations that they have to overcome, they've also figured it out. So also have comfort in knowing like like as unique as your situation is, you're not like a standalone like, hey, but I'm the only one that's gone through this. You're not. Because other people have either work more hours per week, have more obstacles in their way, have more constraints, and they're still able to figure it out as well. And it's not that I want to like compare with anyone, but it does help to know like, just think about it. Like if you get in an injury, if you're an athlete and you get injured and you're saying, oh my God, like I tore my ACL or like I dislocated my wrist. Oh, I'll never be able to make it back to the league. Like, or I'll never be the same. But then you think about like the other players that have had ACL torn or like some like ligament or some bones break or something. And they're like, well, they did that. And they had to change up their style, but they're still in the league or they made it back or they were able to be successful in whatever. So you're not comparing to others, but it's just good to know that there are others that have gone through similar things and still have made it out on the other side. So you're unique, but don't forget that other people probably have a bit more, like not more unique, but have gone through some pretty strenuous things and they've been able to overcome it as well. And at the end of the day, like not to sound mean or rude or anything, but like at the end of the day, it's like if it does matter to you, if it really is something that you want to do, if it's something that you're really like that, it's like it's eating away at you at your heart or at your brain, like if you really want to get it done, you'll make time for it, right? How you make time for it is basically, like depending on your lifestyle and of course like things like that, but like something has to give in order so you can get it somewhere else, right? Like for instance, right now, if I wanted to run, like if I wanted to go back to running, let's say like 25, 30 miles per week, right? I don't just have those available 25, 30 miles a week in time, right? So imagine like blocks, like I'm using this phone as a block. Imagine there's blocks, right? Let's say there's 7 blocks and each block is 10 hours. I don't know. Oh, let's call it 5 hours. 35 hours, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Yeah, 35 hours, right? So these 7 blocks are already filled up. My 35 hours already, let's call it 8. let's say 40 hours. My 8 blocks of 40 hours is already filled up, right? Now, if it's going to take me, I don't know, let's call it like 5 hours a week to run those 20 miles, right? In the already existing 8 blocks, I have to remove one of the blocks of what I'm doing right now and insert a new block of running, right? So I have to sacrifice. I have to take something away of my current time in order to be able to replace it with running. So that's gonna go with just about everyone, right? Like unless maybe you're watching, I don't know, 4 movies a week or something, or you're going out with friends, 3 times out of the week, or, you go, whatever the case may be, like, you're going to have to remove some of those things in order to get more time to work on your business. That's just simply how it goes. And if you follow that path, like not a lot of times, but like, it's an easy thing to like lose friends over, depending on like
the period of time, especially if you're like communicative with everyone. Just because as you want to work on your business and like you want to keep on trying to progress it, you'll start to push things more away, and not necessarily in a bad way. It's a bad way if you just like do it with like no kind of like, you don't communicate to anyone and you just like cut everyone off. But that is a way where like you want to keep on working and working on your business, and the more that your friends go out or your family invites you out or you do all this and you're like, no, I just want to work on my business. Um, that's when things kind of you start to kind of slaughter some relationships, just because like you're like so like gun ho on this one thing. So definitely a big thing as a side tangent is like the communication part. Again, like if you have a family and kids and stuff, and like they're used to like, I want to go out and go do this, say, oh, let's go do this, let's go do that, and you're trying to do this thing, like it would be a very smart thing to sit down with friends, family, whoever it is, and say like, hey, like I have this goal I want to do, I have this goal I want to do, so that I can do this, which is going to allow us to do all this. I might have to cut down on some time, whatever. I don't know what that means to you, but just simply like making sure that you're in communication with those that are close to you or that matter to you or that that you're with, really helps to like talk with them and say like, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. So like, not that I'm ignoring you guys, or not that I don't want to go out with you when you guys invite me out, but I do want to start this business. I'm not happy where I am, and I want to kind of push myself to the next level of life, or whatever whatever that conversation looks like, and just being open with them, saying, hey, like, I still want to go like once or twice a month, but I'll probably have to draw it back a bit, so that I'm able to go and actually work on my business. You get the point. It's basically just talk to whoever you're with and just let them know, hey, here's are my goals, here's my plans. Things might change a little bit, but I'm still here. That's very important. Um, so for me specifically, from like 2011 to 2015 ish, I want to say, I was basically always juggling working on my business and then working at a job. Now, for me, I was well, at first, my first job was not, I'm sorry, not my first job, but anyways, throughout the entire time, like in 2011, I was like 17, 18. So it wasn't a big deal that I worked like at a job, just because I didn't really know anything. But from 2011 to 2015, I was working at multiple jobs. Whether I had like two like minimum wage jobs, whether I had one job that was like $15 an hour, whether it was like part time at some like whatever place, like I just had multiple jobs, whether it was one, whether it was two, whether it's like two part times. Um, so I always had a job. Now, I have my notes here, and I'll skip to it. But like the biggest thing that I would have done if I would have started over, like if I could go back to 2011, is to simply focus on marketing and learn how to bring in customers into my business. That would have been the number one thing I would have tried to figure out. Because once you get that figured out, a lot of other things start to fall in place. Because like for me, I struggled to do marketing, to get customers, to get to get any kind of traction. But I even went to go get trained in California, and I paid $1,400 to get like trained and certified on corrections and corrections and wet sanding. And I was very detail focused, right? Like I was like, I would listen to podcasts or watch YouTube videos on microfiber towels, on how to polish paint. I would watch other detailers detail. I went to get trained because I thought that's what I needed to do. I got a small truck, my HHR panel, to build out like a small mobile rig. But throughout that time, like I always struggled to get customers. And if I would have flipped that all together, and from like let's say 2011, like 2011, when I was 17, 18 years old, if I would have shifted my efforts from detailing to marketing or business, my trajectory would have been completely different. Because when you're first getting started, like you're trying to figure out, well, how do I service customers? How do I have free time? And it's like, even if you dropped everything that you were doing and you went to go work on your business, you wouldn't have customers anyways, right? Like you would still have that problem of like, well, how do I get customers? So I still recommend this. If you are limited on time, then focus on the most highest priority things. And what's the most highest priority thing that you can do is to learn how to generate traffic, leads, and sales into your business. So I would rather have leads coming into my business, right? Have people inquiring about my services and not be able to service them than trying to find a way to service customers even though you don't have any right now, right? So like that's what I would do, and that would have completely changed how I did everything in my business. Because instead of waiting until like 2015 to like, oh, customers, that's what I'm supposed to do, I could have done that since 2011. And the only reason why that happened, why I didn't why I didn't focus on customers in 2011, but I did in 2015, was just like lack of knowing. Like there's no like this grand like, oh well, no, it just I just didn't know what to work. I just didn't know what to focus on. So for those that are like, man, I'm trying to start my, like, I'm telling you, focus on marketing. I don't care if you can service any customers. Like, I would rather have your phone ringing without you being able to answer because you're at your day job, without you being able to service them. Because at least once, like, if you finally do get some free time to decrease your hours, to, quit your job, let's say, like, your phone is already ringing. It's a lot different when you quit your job and your phone's not ringing and you don't have any customers and you don't have any money coming in. And then once you quit, you're like, okay, time to get customers. That's one way to do it. Or the other way to do it is, as you're working your full-time job, you learn how to market your business, you start generating traffic and leads. And let's say if you do quit your job, when you do leave, your phone's already ringing with potential customers that want to give you money for your services, right? So option A is quit your job, no customers. Option B is quit your job, you already have customers. Which one do you think is the more preferable option to keep on to get the traction and momentum going? The one where you already have customers. So that's definitely, and I skipped a bit forward here in my notes, but that's exactly what I would recommend. And again, that's just like a very general statement. Like, you have to figure out what that means. Like, everyone's schedule will be different, right? Like, having 2 days off on the weekend is different than having 2 days off throughout the week, right? Having Saturday, Sunday off is different than having Monday and Thursday off. In terms of like, if you're able to schedule customers there or work on a bit, like, everything's gonna change. Like, every single little detail will change to like how you're able to approach the situation. Okay, so at one point in when I was working at a job, I had a pretty rough schedule. And again, this goes back to like what you want or what you want to achieve, and what's your purpose and what's your why. Because even when I was going through this time, it was about like a 3 to 6 month span of that I was doing this. Like, I had a very distinct, specific purpose of what I was doing on why I was working these crazy hours. So a typical day, and this was only like for like 3 to 6 months. So don't think I did this for like a year. This is like 3 to 6 months. So from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. would be my detail slot. Meaning, if I had a customer, I would schedule them in to do the whatever interior cleaning, wash and wax, engine cleaning. And sometimes like I would really have to rush, because like if it was like an interior cleaning and a wash and wax, like I had to be finished by 12 so that I can make it to my first job of the day, which was from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And these aren't going to be specifics like hours, because just depending on the day, it might have been like 12 to 5 at my job, like 12 to 5:30 or 12:30 to like it might kind of move around a little bit. But my first job would be 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m. And then my second job for that day would be from 5:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. Now, the way that it worked is that we were, just imagine any business center, right? In any business parking lot. Like, imagine one business and then the other business right next to it, right? Just like any shopping center. That's where my jobs were. One job was right here, and then like if you take 10 steps, you're at the second job. That's why I was able to leave one job at like 5:30, and then clock in like at 5:30 immediately, just because they were literally like, I could park in the same spot, just walk 10 steps one way, and then get to my other job already. So the second job of the day was from 5:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. And again, that also moved a lot as well, just because like it might be 2 a.m., it might be 4 a.m., it might be 9 p.m., right? So, but just as a general statement, like what it was is 5:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. And I carried that kind of schedule for, again, like 3 to 6 months. And those days were pretty rough. Little downtime, as you can imagine. Whenever I could fit a detail in, I would. And if I didn't have a detail for that day, I I would still like. I remember like during that time, that's when I was learning how to type as well. I didn't learn how to type in high school. So once I started working on my website and doing all this SEO, search engine optimization, I realized like, wow, I am taking forever typing out these pages. It would really help if I knew how to type, because I know like I did my little words per minute typing test, and I was like, man, I'm typing like 35, 40 words per minute. So for I think like a strong like month and a half, I would like on my free time, I would also spend time on typingtest.com, I think it was. And I would just go through every single lesson on like how do you type, where do you put your hand placements, right? And although it slowed me down because like I was learning, like I was like literally going lesson by lesson, learning like, okay, where do you put your fingers, which key, which finger goes to what key. Although that took me a while, I knew like moving forward, this would greatly help me type faster and get through these pages more efficiently. And it definitely did. So like if I didn't have a job that day, I would again like I might spend like 20 minutes on typing, just because I still have to work on my website and do these other things. But nonetheless, like that stretch of time was basically me just going like as hard as I could every single day, pause, on the things that I knew I had to get done. That doesn't mean that I, like during that stretch of time, like not much got done. Like it was very just like to myself, like didn't really go out, didn't really do much, didn't really, because I knew exactly what I was doing. And there was a lot of times, and I mean, not just the last those 36 months, but like across the board, where like you kind of miss things as far as like events or going out, just because you are really like singular focus on this one thing. But again, like if you have that strong why, if you have that strong purpose, if you have that strong mission, like it's kind of easy to say no. I'm gonna keep on doing this, because you know what that means to the future. Like you really have to understand that like if you don't do the sacrifice now in terms of time, and you don't say no to that thing that you want to do so you can work on your business, like you are slowing down what you want in the future, right? So the more you slow down the future by the decision that you make now, you're just hurting yourself. So that's why it's important to understand like what is your why, because that's gonna help you say, okay, you know what, like that would be so cool. Like I really want to do it. Sounds fun, but like I'm seeing what's gonna happen 3 years from now, not 3 months from now. And here's just some straight up motivation of like, look, at the end of the day, once you're done, once you're, you work your hours, and I get it. Like, look, if you're at a stressful job, whether it's at a law firm or you're in a kitchen, or you're working in retail, whether you're in construction, like you're gonna get tired. Like everyone's gonna be tired. Some more mentally, some more physically, some both. But once you get home, or once you're done with the day, like you have to think about your future. You have to think about what you want to achieve and what you want to accomplish, and what it is that you see in the future of what you want to do, right? Like envision, truly like ingrain it into your mind of what you see with yourself, with your family, with what you have, with what you own, with what you're able to do with your time. Like really envision it that way. Like it's very easy to, like, when you're tired, when you're just don't have the energy, when you don't have the motivation, you can instantly just think about that one thing, and it's like, okay, as tired as I am, as reluctant that I am to do this, like you see that quick little vision of what it is in the future, and you're like, okay, got it. But I'm gonna keep on going because of my why, because of this purpose. That's like a very, very, very powerful thing to do. Because without that, like it's gonna be very easy to be discouraged on like, oh, but I'll just do it tomorrow. I'm so tired. I'll just do it tomorrow. Trust me, like it's gonna be easier to not do it versus having the will and discipline to get up and do it. And on that same note, though, with working and such, it's also okay to not work sometimes. That's one thing I really messed up on when I was working those jobs, where I didn't want to, like I would say no to everything. Like if I didn't work on something important every single day, I would think like it was a failure. Like I messed up. Like I was not worthy of like doing anything because I didn't do the one thing I was supposed to do. I also realized is like you're also still supposed to enjoy life. If you miss one day, again, like don't make it a habit, but like you can miss one day of work to go be with your friends or family. Like you can go and watch that movie. Like you can go and have dinner with your friends or family. Like don't think if you miss one day, like like no, my why, no, forget all y'all. Like I'm gonna go do this thing. Like it's still okay to live life. It's still okay to enjoy yourself. It's still okay to say, you know what, today I had a great day yesterday. I need a day to just relax and to like recuperate my energy, and then tomorrow we'll get back at it. It's 100% okay to have those days as well. Don't think like you have to be like this like 24/7 hustler. Oh my God, like everyone get out my way. I'm gonna just keep on going. I'm gonna hustle, hustle, hustle. That's also not the way to go about things. Like that's one thing I would definitely change. Even when I started like 10 years ago, of like, hey, it's okay to just chill. It's okay for one day just to go and be with friends. It's okay for one day. I'm just using that as like it's okay for 2 days. Like it's okay for one day to just and just to relax or have fun or to take a day off and just like replenish your energy. Like that's okay. You don't have to have this mindset of like, if I miss one day, like I'm gonna die because I'm all the progress is gonna be gone. It's like, no. If you miss a day, guess what happens? The work's gonna be there tomorrow, dude. Like it's not that big of a deal. But more so of like once you need it, take it. Don't like the second you get tired, don't be like, okay, time to rest. And I guess like not like that. Just you have to have the right balance of like, I'm gonna go all in. I'm gonna go heavy. I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna go as fast as I can. And then after like 4 or 5 days, you're like, okay, I'm a little tired. Take the rest. It's okay. Rejuvenate, and then go back at it for another 4 or 5 days, or something like that. You get the point. Again, nothing too specific. Just like as a general statement, like that's kind of something you should follow. So I'll go ahead and end the podcast episode right there. Hopefully, you learned something from what I did when I was working 50 plus hours a week. Again, you really have to make sure this fits your specific situation. Hopefully, you took some gold nuggets out of here and you applied into your business. Trust me, I know it's hard work. I know it takes a lot of time and energy, but I really hope that you push your business forward and, you just find that time to make it happen, because if not you and if not now, then by who and when. Thank you, everyone, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye-bye.